Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode number 138 in the book of the Gospel of John. Today, watch the legal and the physical attacks against Jesus. We're at his arrest just shortly after, and this is the first Jewish trial. This is from John chapter 18. I'm going to start in verse 19. The high priest then questioned Jesus about his disciples and his teaching. Jesus answered him, I have spoken openly to the world. I've always taught in synagogues and in the temple, where all the Jews come together. I have said nothing in secret. Why do you ask me? Ask those who have heard what they said to what they heard me. Ask those who have heard me what I said to them. They know what I said. When he had said these things, one of the officers standing by struck Jesus with his hand, saying, Is that how you answer the high priest? Jesus answered him, If what I said is wrong, bear witness about the wrong. But if what I said is right, why do you strike me? Annas then sent him bound to Caiaphas, the high priest. So there's 3 Jewish trials and 3 Roman trials. This is the first of the Jewish trials, and it's before Annas. Now, the interesting thing was he was high priest from 7 AD to 15 AD. It's now about 33 AD. His son-in-law, Caiaphas, is the actual high priest currently. So what this tells us, and they brought Jesus not to the high priest, but to the ex-high priest. So his son Caiaphas is the current high priest, but they bring him to Annas first. So this considerable power and influence of this person cannot be underestimated. You know, he might have been the puppet master behind the puppet. So they continue to call him the high priest. He was deposed by the Romans, and high priest was supposed to be in office for life. So maybe they even considered him the actual high priest, or at least he's high priest emeritus. Okay, so this arrest of Jesus and this conspiracy against him, this is no surprise. This has been going on since John chapter 11, where it said from that day forward, they'd made plans to put him to death. So Jesus clarifies that his good news wasn't a secret. It's been proclaimed openly, and no legitimate witness could be brought against him. Now, the reason that this is an illegal interrogation, first of all, it's at night. Secondly, there's no legitimate accuser. So the way Jewish trials would work is the accused spoke last, and Annas is trying to get Jesus to speak first. So there's supposed to be an accusation, then there's supposed to be witnesses for, then there's supposed to be witness against, and then the person is supposed to testify. However, Annas questions Jesus first. He's like what he's doing is he's searching for a crime that would lead to the conclusion of guilty and death that they've already come to. So Annas violates Jewish law, trying to find a crime for Jesus to be accused of. So to try to find a crime, Annas commits a crime. So first we see here that Jesus is being violated by Annas in a legal sense. Number 2 then for today is he is violated by this officer, this Jewish officer, physically. After Annas is humiliated by the wisdom of Jesus and the exposure of this illegal scheme that he's after, he does what one day will be an absolutely ridiculous thought, which is that someone can strike the Lord. So he is arrested and bound. He's not at liberty, so he's bound at this time, and then he's struck with a hand, it says. Now, this is going to get worse as time goes on, and there's going to be all kinds of physical violations, but I just want to pause here, and Jesus is hit. Now, this is an undefended strike because his hands are bound. And so why is he struck? Well, anger or this violence is generally caused by trying to protect something. And I think this officer, this Jewish officer of the law, I think he's trying to protect the pride of the high priest's office, his position perhaps, defend maybe the respect or the loss of respect that he's getting. And this anger is caused by this block goals, their frustration at the humiliation of the high priest and the inability to get Jesus convicted. So to strike a prisoner was illegal, and to strike one not even accused of a crime was also illegal. So both Annas and the officer have to violate their own law to try to work their law to their end with Jesus. And the end apparently is more important than the means. Of interest, Paul, when he stands before the Sanhedrin, is also illegally struck, which he makes mention of in Acts 23. So laying hands on the Lord, striking out at God, hitting God, delivering a blow to Jesus. The guy went to bed saying, or eventually maybe, I struck God Almighty. All right, so we all have misunderstandings and wrong conclusions, and if you're angry with God, someone is misunderstanding something. Well, here's a note to self. It's not God who has the misunderstanding. So we're not going to win a battle of wits with the Lord. So if 2 points, you and the Lord, are being argued, one person, it's going to be you, is going to have to move to the other person's position, and guess who that is? It's going to be who has to always do the moving. It's thy will be done. So just help me, Lord, to know and understand what your will is. Remember, we're supposed to think and act according to and in keeping with his character, his identity, the relationship that he desires, and according to his accomplishment and positions, and an eye to who I am. So he is sovereign, all-powerful, Lord, rescuer, and I am positionally supposed to be humble and submissive to that. So let's keep an eye on where Jesus is positionally in heaven right now. So we see this gross violation, and it's going to continue. He's violated by Annas legally, and then he is violated by this officer physically. Now, I want to invite you to come back tomorrow, because it's a tender and horrible story where he's going to be violated by Peter. He's going to be violated by his second and third denials, and then there's going to be a rooster. So hint, please come back tomorrow. Hear more about the violations of Jesus. Thank you for listening.